My sister, who has a prosthetic arm, treated me to a meal with her first paycheck. Then, we ran into her boss, who told her, a defect like you doesn't belong here. So I told him, you're fired as of today. Isabel lost her arm in a car accident when she was 19. I was driving. A truck ran a red light and T-boned us on her side. She spent 4 months in physical therapy, another 6 in counseling. The whole time she never once blamed me, even though I could barely look at myself in the mirror. When she said she wanted to work, wanted independence, I made it happen. I pulled strings at the factory my dad left me when he passed 3 years ago. Nobody there knew I owned it. I was just Matthew from corporate, the guy who occasionally showed up for safety inspections. The prosthetic cost $8,000. Isabel wanted to save up for it herself, working odd jobs with one arm. I couldn't watch her struggle like that, so I paid for it and told her she could pay me back whenever. 6 months later, she handed me an envelope with her first paycheck inside, $320. Every cent she could spare after rent and groceries. I'm paying you back, she said, little by little. I tried to refuse, but she wouldn't hear it. Then she insisted on taking me to Coastal Catch, this upscale seafood place we'd seen on some food show. Reservations were hard to get. Entrees started at $45. Isabel, this is too much, I told her in the parking lot. You paid $8,000 for my arm, she said quietly. Let me buy you one dinner. The restaurant was beautiful. We sat at the counter watching the chef work. Isabel ordered the chef's special, both of us plus appetizers. She was glowing, happier than I'd seen her since before the accident. How's work really going? I asked between courses. You can tell me the truth. It's fine, she said, but I'd noticed the bruises. Small ones on her right arm, a bandage on her hand last week. She'd blamed it on being clumsy, still adjusting to the prosthetic, but something felt off. Isabel, Matthew, I'm handling it. Please, just let me handle it. I dropped it. We were having such a good night. That's when her shift supervisor walked in with his wife. I recognized him from the few times I'd visited the factory floor. Frank Donnelly, been there for 12 years, managed the assembly department. He spotted Isabel immediately. His expression changed. You work tomorrow, he said, walking straight to our table. No greeting, no acknowledgement of me, just a command. Isabel's fork clattered against her plate. I requested tomorrow off 2 weeks ago. It's my brother's birthday and I don't care what you requested. His voice was loud enough that other diners were turning to look. We're short-staffed and you're already our slowest worker. You should be grateful we even hired someone like you. The words hung in the air like poison. Someone like me? Isabel's voice was barely a whisper. His eyes flicked to her prosthetic arm, then back to her face. The disgust was unmistakable. A defect like you doesn't belong in my department. You want time off? Find another job. You're replaceable. Isabel's hand was shaking. She pulled her prosthetic arm closer to her body, trying to hide it. That small gesture, that shame in her eyes, ignited something in me. I stood up slowly, carefully placed my napkin on the counter. Your department? I said quietly. That's interesting. He finally looked at me. Who the hell are you? I'm Matthew Brooks. I pulled out my phone, opened my company email. The header read, Brooks Manufacturing Group, owner. And that factory you're talking about, the one with your department, I own it. His face went from red to white in about 2 seconds. I've been getting reports about you, I continued, my voice steady, about how you assign my sister the most dangerous tasks, how you forget to give her safety equipment, how you told other workers not to help her because she needs to prove herself. His wife grabbed his arm, pulling. Frank, let's go. Those bruises Isabel comes home with? I stepped closer. That's not her being clumsy. That's you putting her in positions where she's bound to get hurt. I didn't know she was, he stammered. You didn't know she was my sister. I cut him off. But you knew she was a person. You knew she was working hard. You knew she deserved basic human decency. That should have been enough. The restaurant was dead silent. You're fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out Monday morning. I'll have HR contact you about final pay. Wait, please. I have a mortgage. You should have thought about that before you called my sister a defect. His wife was crying now, dragging him toward the exit. He stumbled, tried to say something else, but she got him out the door. I turned back to Isabel. She was crying, hands covering her face. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want to seem weak. Isabel. I sat back down, took her hand. You worked 6 months to pay for that arm yourself. You took a job in a factory where your boss tormented you, and you never complained once. You're the strongest person I know. The chef placed 2 fresh plates in front of us. These are on the house, he said softly. Then he started clapping, slow at first, then faster. The couple next to us joined in, then the table behind them. Within seconds, the entire restaurant was applauding. Isabel was crying and laughing at the same time, and for the first time since the accident, I saw her hold her prosthetic arm up with pride instead of hiding it.